Hi guys, welcome to the Man United Agenda. Yes, it's a post-match, post-mortem. We lost 3-0 to City in the Manchester derby. Are you surprised? Let's talk about it.
Clear penalty for impeding, but none of the four refs on.
Yo, how's everyone doing? It's Man United Agenda. Yes, post-match show. Not so long ago, we just got beat 3-0 by Manchester City. I predicted we'd win. We beat them last year 2-1. I'm sure a lot of people, when we done the prediction show, also thought we could win. But realistically, this is a magnificent Man City side we're up against, especially when we're on our face like we have been all this season. Reality says we should never really predicted a win here at all. That's what I'm thinking. Bath time. You thinking the same as me?
Yeah, and I'm sorry to everyone who's watching. Like, YouTube's a disaster today. OMONDI has to leave earlier, so we're just trying to put a show out to you. We understand it'll be lagging, but this is more for people watching later. Sorry, OMONDI, what was your question?
So basically, I mean, in the prediction show, and even me are predicting we could win this. I'm confident saying, yeah, we can win. Beat them 2-1 last season, but it's a new season. We haven't started well this season, and I have to be more realistic. Watching the game and seeing it, the whole balance of the game, I'm thinking, man, we are miles behind, and I shouldn't have really predicted that we could win. I was really sort of getting too gassed, I imagined, or sort of dreaming that we could win. They're better than us, and yeah, we have to accept that sometimes. What was your prediction post-match? Before pre-match, sorry.
2-0 United. I mean, the thing is that City aren't as good as they were last year, and we should be better, and we beat them at home. So I'm really, really disappointed by what I've seen today. Like everyone else, and I know a lot of people are going to be angry about the penalty, in particular. And we have. I asked Jeff, who is a qualified referee, to send in a video what he thought about the penalty. Should we just do that first?
Yeah, let's talk about this.
Okay, so this is Jeff, a qualified referee.
It's a clear penalty for impeding, but none of the four refs on the field saw it. And then Michael Oliver was very quick to give it, but he sent him to the monitor to sell it. And then later on, Foden and Amrabat should have been a yellow for Foden for going after him, and he did not get headbutted. They just laid their heads on each other. That's crazy. But the punch to the chest from Grealish, unpunished, just shows where this referee and VAR are. All right, go Reds.
Thanks, Jeff.
Okay. Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, I'll say Jeffrey. Jeffrey, referee. Anyway, big up Jeff, driving in Texas right now and giving us little feedback. It's nice to have those little videos, and I'm interested to hear what he said about that penalty and what he said about the incident with Foden as well. We're going to come on to that. Let's come on to that. I thought we started pretty well, but let's look at the starting lineup, bro. We started with Onana, Dalot, Maguire, Evans, and Lindelof. Now, I couldn't hear, but where was Varane? He was on the bench, but why didn't he start?
I don't know. Like, I mean, you got to assume it's fitness, or he didn't do well in training, or, as I suspect, it might have been a bit of a panic from Ten Hag.
Okay, and Reguilon, I'm thinking, well, why are we playing Lindelof at left back? Can you consider any reason why, coming up against City, why Lindelof would be picked over Reguilon when they're both fit?
Yeah, I think it's because in possession we want to create three at the back with three centre backs, and if you play Reguilon, he has to be the width, the same way that Dalot has to be the width, and it sort of neutralises Rashford.
Is that specific to playing against City then?
No, I think it's specific to trying to get the best out of Rashford, and I just like we're in dire need of left footers like on the pitch, and he plays Lindelof, who had a bit of a shocker, I think, for me.
Yeah, didn't play very well at all. As you know, yeah, I had an issue earlier on. I was doing a live watch along, couldn't be released, had to stop the show. But yeah, We've got issues all day with YouTube, not just us guys, but if you hang around and watch the show later, it should come up. All right. In midfield, we had Amrabat, McTominay, and Ericsson, with Bruno playing on the right, Rashford on the left, and down the middle was our big Dane, Haaland. Amrabat starting with McTominay. I think McTominay, Ericsson come back in. There's no Mount. I would have thought for the money we paid for him, this was a key game for him to play. Big game, derby. Big signing, should be starting, but he hasn't started today.
Yeah, like I don't understand what is going on with Mount. I've been quite impressed from what I've seen from him. I don't think that he is deserved to be dropped. I think out of the eights with him and Bruno, I think him and McTominay have played better than Bruno in recent games.
Yeah.
I don't know what Ten Hag was doing, and I can see the comments are sort of starting to move over towards our last subject, which is, lads, if you can hear us, we'll get to Ten Hag like at the end of the show. Please bear with us. It's an absolute disaster today in one day, on and off the pitch.
Yeah, most certainly. So a couple of comments here. Big T saying, how do you let the Premier League's most dangerous forward have all that space unmarked at the back post? That's for the header and the goal. McTominay, with our best chance week in, week out, he's showing he's our best attacker. Shows what state our squad is in. Big T. Now, how you doing, man? Yeah, we know we've got issues. And Big T also saying about YouTube, rubbish connection. Yes, UK, strange. Now, George is in the house. He's saying he went 3-1 City as my prediction. So annoyed because he was close. All right. Loving Jeff's shirt and tie combo. He's off to church. He's probably off to church or somewhere smart. He looks like he's going somewhere to represent. And Big T saying here, Ten Hag has to go. Wow, we come on to that. Repeating the same mistake over and over again is a sign of insanity. I want to say hi to R. Sharma as well. He's repeating what Big T is saying, that Ten Hag has to go. I'm getting a lot of loading wheels of doom on this video. Yes, we know about that, guys. Unfortunately, these are issues. And as we say in here, YouTube isn't working properly. This is more for later than now, as I've got to go at 7 o'clock. All right, very soon. All right, so we started the game. I thought first 25 minutes we started pretty well. We, showed a lot of energy and desire. We had Haaland had a save from, Anand had a save from Haaland, and there was a bit of a flap. The ball got played, sort of that old Barcelona ball, played from the half space. Someone Walker headed back into the area 6-yard box, and Onana produced a double save, and Maguire just about cleared the ball from Haaland. I mean, that was a bit of a scary moment. That was only after 7 minutes, and then there's a penalty after 24 minutes. But between that moment of their first chance and 24th minute, I thought we were in the game. I thought the crowd were getting up and getting kind of excited. Now, for me, I'm going to say this now, BATHTIME, that penalty, I just knew from then, going 1-0 down against City is not the one. I know we beat them when we went 1-0 last season, but the circumstances, you can see everyone went flat. I just thought from then, I was like, do I just walk away from this? Do I not watch this anymore? But we've listened to Jeff. Jeff said clearly that the referee didn't see it, the lino didn't see it. It's someone upstairs saw that there was a push and all that kind of thing. So what are your thoughts on the penalty? Because let's just break it down. Amrabat gave away the free kick initially, didn't he?
Yeah, got in a mix-up. Dreadful performance from Amrabat in the first half. But what Jeff sent me about the penalty is he sent me, as you can imagine, the laws of the game. And it was Law 12 that was broken, which is impeding using your body to stop an opponent from getting to the ball out of your playing distance. And that's the thing, is that I think a lot of people are saying, like, look, Maguire's holding on to Stones in the same clip and all these things. The reason it's a penalty is because Højlund Rasmus pulls him back because there's too much separation between them. So whilst I'm not a massive fan of it, because I don't think that Rodri could have played the ball, I think by the letter of the law, that is a penalty. And the fact that that Rodri's ahead of Rasmus is why that's given, and so many others aren't given. Which I know is dreadful reading and dreadful to listen to, but thanks to Jeff, because he's kind of explained that one to a degree where I'm sort of, I wouldn't say satisfied, but I understand it. But the first half, first 25 minutes, I thought we were good. We did what we did in the FA Cup final, where we played a 4-man high block, where we had Rashford, Bruno, McTominay, and Højlund, and I thought it worked really, really well. Like we had Amrabat and Ericsson marking pivots. Højlund and McTominay were our rest attack, and I thought that they did really, really well for 25 minutes. I thought there was always they're both outlet players, so we don't expect them to get on the ball very much, but we expect them to cause problems. And all right, there were a couple of times McTominay and Højlund, with more care and a better pass, could have slipped us through, but it's the best we've used the ball winning it high up the pitch so far. And I felt that Maguire and Evans were pretty good.
Yeah.
Like the only guy I felt who was really lacking, for the majority of the first half, was Amrabat.
Yeah.
I'm devastated by him. I felt he got too worked up with who was he fighting with? Was it Foden?
He squared up. He was getting wound up. It was Foden. Yeah, he went head to head with Foden.
That's not the mark of a top player. Like losing your head after 30 minutes. Like I wasn't happy about that. To be honest, I was pretty happy with our performance in the first half of Monday. I know we struggled to get on the ball, but I didn't felt that we were in that much danger for the majority of it, and I felt we had a good outlet. I thought even 1-0 down, I thought we were going to come back into the game. Like, what were you? Sorry, I got hiccups now.
Well, first of all, going back to the penalty, Charles, this is what I have to rate. I mean, because we've seen it over and over again. Rodri wasn't standing, being touch tight marked by Højlund. Rodri's had to come from a distance and make his run from deep to get into the box, and that's why Højlund couldn't pick him up. There's too much movement, and then by the time you see him coming in, he's already got the momentum. So that's why it looks worse when you put your hand on him and he can go down, even though it wasn't enough for, I don't feel, to him to go down. But it was smart play by Rodri. And I was saying, like today on our Sunday football, we lost 5-0. But I was saying to my brother, he went up for a corner. I said to him, I always say to him, start your run from deep. You're a big guy, and make a diagonal run, 5-10 yards. That's all you need to run, 5 or 10 yards, and and attack the ball. And it's going to be hard for anyone to stop you. So he goes up, and he literally made a 1 or 2 yard run after all that. And I had to scream at him. I was screaming at him. And if you listen to this, Kinde, I have to say it, but I'm just giving an example of why it's so important to make a good run. It's like when you're going for a throw-in, feet and back or something. Come, make that walk away, and then come get the ball and get in front of the guy. It's really hard. Movement is everything, I believe, in football. And Rodri made a beautiful run, which made it even more difficult for him to be picked up because he's coming in late, timed it, and if someone puts hands on you, and you've got that momentum, you're running. It's easy. Like you're saying, Maguire, we had hands on guys, but that's because they were together. They weren't. The other guy didn't make a run. I agree with you about the first half. We did play pretty well, and if a bit more, being a bit more clinical with the pass in the final pass, I think we could have created a lot more chances, or chances didn't even get created because it just broke down. We can see it's on, but it's just like get out your feet and pop it. McTominay, like you're saying, is the arrest attack. A couple of times he was in position to pass it, couldn't get out his feet to pop it off and make the right decision. So yeah, I'm with you on that. First half was pretty impressive.
I think we should point out though that Onana made a super save, like in the first half. Like it wasn't like easy. It wasn't like we were in a low block controlling it, but I felt we were being competitive.
Yeah, most certainly. Yeah, that was a good save. Most certainly, and I think, but when I look at it back, not to criticise Haaland, he can't.
It's a terrible header on Monday.
It was, the header was right down the middle. He had all of the right side of the goal to head it into, and he headed it basically into his in the arms, basically. So even though it was a good save, you saw what happened the second time around when it happened again. He did put it into the corners where it matters. So yeah, well done to Onana. Still got issues on him, really, I think, because there was a couple of mistakes in the second half with Onana, but we'll come on to that very soon. So first half, I think we went in there, we were 1-0 down in the first half. Going into half time, I think you had enough to be encouraged with, like you said. And I think if we continue to create chances, all we needed was a goal, now we get our momentum back again. And just gutted with that penalty, because I just felt like, why us over and over again? People might say outside of the box, that wouldn't be giving us a foul. But like you said, letter of the law. Thank you, Jeff. it was given. And see, how do you think we've been unfortunate this year with decisions against us for half time? Because
Not
people,
really.
it's a big talking point again. The penalty.
No, it's just whinging. Like, look, we've never had to rely on the refs to win football matches. We're not Neymar. Like, like you always get this kind of nonsense against you. Like, but you have to deal with it and you have to find ways to win. And in the last 3 games, not including today, we found ways to win, and today we didn't. So we need to get back to training and we need to get back to focusing on everything else that happens in the 89 minutes and stop worrying about referees.
Yeah.
Like we've got to start like winning matches by ourselves and not whinging about refs. It's childish and ridiculous.
Okay, so in the 49th minute, they've scored, made it 2-0. I mean, it's a lovely move again. It's Haaland with the back post header, and Silva held up the ball. Well, it was Grealish held up the ball. Silva got the overlap with his left foot, just dinked it to the far post, and Haaland was there this time to bury it home. Not much you can do with these.
There's a lot you can do with that goal. There's a lot you can do with that.
When I say not much you can do, I mean, look, I'm seeing loads of play. I'm seeing the overlap. He's dinked it over, and these guys, the movement from Haaland was just too good for Lindelof, as far as I'm concerned. So I'm saying there's not much we can do, because over and over again, when your concentration levels are like that and you haven't got the ball, it was meant to be. It was meant to happen. It was meant to come. And yeah, we can criticise. So what's your thoughts on that?
Right. I think that Ten Hag made a boo-boo, a big boo-boo, which is that when he brought Man on for Amrabat, he dropped McTominay next to Eriksen, absolutely fine. But McTominay, in the first half, was in the first line of pressure and he was screening Rodri, and he was doing it pretty well. Rodri was having to get into areas he didn't really want to be in, and whilst Rodri was fine, he played well in the first half, he didn't have anywhere near the effect in the first half that he had in the second, and the reason was because Mount and Bruno didn't know what they were doing. Like, Mount either just had an absolute shocker, or, as I suspect, him and Bruno were sharing responsibilities for Rodri. In the goal that City scored with Haaland at the back post, it comes down the channel. McTominay wasn't able to get out quick enough to the channel because Bruno was too far forward, and McTominay had to stay in zone 14 until it was too late. And it's only he's only about a yard late or 2 yards late, but that's all a City player needs. Like, Bruno was bloody dreadful in the second half, and Mount wasn't far behind him. And you also, like, to be honest, Rashford should have been helping out more at the back post there. Like, we got absolutely done because our forward players don't work hard enough, don't respect spaces, and they expect everyone else to give them a platform to just piss about at the other end of the pitch. Like, it doesn't matter if that's McTominay, Amrabat, Casemiro. There's too much space for them to get out and defend. And that's because the 2-8s are too far forward, and one of them's meant to be on Rodri, and the other one's meant to be helping defend the channel. There was none of that, and it was the story of the second half. It was catastrophic moving McTominay into the midfield, not because of his lack of passing or lack of quality, but because it meant that Rodri got free for the rest of the game. And I'm sorry, but Ten Hag should have changed it after 5 minutes in the second half. Like, put Bruno at 6.
Yeah,
just whatever. But drop Bruno deeper, or put Eriksen at 6. But the problem is that none of the players are disciplined enough to stop Rodri getting on the ball with their screening, except for McTominay. And then we've dropped McTominay back. We've lost him in the first line of pressure. We've lost him as an outlet, and we've got nothing anymore. I'm so pissed off with Ten Hag. That was amateurish for me.
So a couple of comments here. Project leader, I think Zoe Media House, is that right? Bruno was shocking. We can't keep blaming the same old targets like Rashford. We are missing Casemiro, or a player of that fit and young. Amrabat is not for me. That's from Project leader. Mo Morris is saying the entire team was terrible. Black Bolt saying the penalty was an absolute joke, ridiculous. Sack Lord, says Stuart Marshall. Enough is enough. I'm done for now, wasting my money in this utter shit. Bruno isn't effective as a winger, just doesn't work, says Black Bolt. Who will replace him then? The Spa United have had serial winners like Louis van Gaal, Mourinho, and a British coach like Moyes, former legend like Olds, and with Eric Ten Hag, you have ticked the European coach box as well. Big up to Bello. He says Onana's the only one who gets any credit today. And by the way, if you don't know, we're having a few issues. The whole YouTube's having issues today, so you can watch this a bit later. There won't be any issues with that. So we've gone 2-0 down, and I think we're still in the game. One goal could get us back in it. And then Rashford had a great chance. Ericsson with a long pass, diagonal. Rashford timed his run. He came from the middle, got there first before Kyle Walker and chested it down. And then shot wide, and I thought that's a good chance, man. I don't know if you remember that one.
I do, because it came from one of the City players trying to press us in the back line, and we instantly bypassed him and went up the pitch. And it's an example of why you have to press as a team, and how and why I imagine a lot of people get annoyed that we sort of sit off City a bit, but you know, we're rubbish, aren't we, today? We're a load of rubbish today. But but if one person goes and presses, like, erroneously, like a rogue press, it leads to Rashford having a chance that he should absolutely nail. Like, it's poor technique, and I'm fed up. I'm fed up of Rashford because he doesn't work hard enough, and you need to be at Messi, Ronaldo, Haaland, Mbappe levels, like, in order to be able to do that, and he's nowhere near.
I think that's a very, very good chance. I know in the first half, Haaland was in on goal and sort of got stumbled and had to take it wide and square. But I think that was a good chance. Great ball, timed it, brought it down. I think technique-wise, everything. I think he done the right thing, chested it, then shoot. But he just waited a bit too long. And for me, when you're lacking confidence, that's never going to go in. I'm just, that to me was the chance that could have got us back into the game and gave us a bit of momentum. After that, Onana made a great save from Haaland coming out off his box, made himself big old starfish. So it shows you, we were still in it, 2-0 down. Then we made some subs. Now, Garnacho came on for Haaland, and Rashford went down the middle, I imagine. And then Reguilon came on for Lindelof. The thing I should have felt that should have been done in the first half, well, should have started. I think Reguilon should have started. I know what you said about having a back three, but for me, it's crazy why we don't start with a bona fide left back and start with a centre back. We're not Man City. All right, and then Foden scores after 79 minutes, and it's like, wow. Haaland has squared it. He could have shot. He squared it across the 6-yard box, and we're just last to the ball, second to the ball again. I don't know much more than that, because by this point, I've got tears in my eyes. And that made it 3-0.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching OMONDI, and I was trying to see what City were doing that was better than us, and it's fairly obvious that it's about movement and touches and things like that. They're control of the football, but what they do that we don't, and we've got to start doing, is that they have a fixed pivot, which is either Rodri or Stones.
Yeah.
So one stays central, the other floats, and I don't know why or how, but they swap, and they're just so good at it, right? But their eights are coming back into the space, and no one makes that run at United. From like when Mount and Bruno are there, none of them makes that run. Like, what we tend to find is we get Lindelof or Delot just leaving our defence and running up the pitch, and it works on paper. Shout out, Jeff. It works on paper, but games aren't really played on paper, and I'm losing so much. I mean, I never had a huge amount of confidence in Ten Hag. I think I made that clear at the start of the season with that show that we did. But I would think that Ineos watching today, Jim Ratcliffe, any football fan, anyone who's played football, will look at that performance and think that the captain's lost it. Like, Bruno's lost it. Anthony's come on, he's lost it. Like, this all starts and stops with the manager. And I think, Monday, that we've got to prepare ourselves for Ten Hag out at the end of the year and another bloody rebuild.
I don't want to be hearing that right now, to be honest. You've got to stick with it. I mean, we're going to have it's going to be a rocky road. There's going to be times like when Alex Ferguson was under it. where you stick or twist, and I just think we should stick for now. I know we've got the changes happening and everything else, but these are players losing their head because things aren't working because we're not good enough as individuals. Like you said, I think this thing you said the manager set up well.
First
Um,
half, yeah.
yeah, but then obviously he's come away from that. But I think the intention is there to do well. It's down to the players. We lost 5-0 today, and it's down to me. It's down to the players. We set up well. We've done everything. I've given all the instructions I can, but the players didn't do what they were supposed to do time and time again. So for me, sometimes it's down to the players. And when you go 1-0 down, 2-0 down, you lose heart. You despair.
Are you
And it's what
picking those
happened.
players next week?
Well, some of them I will have to. Yeah. I
Yeah.
have to, yeah. And the same, but when you say Anthony was squaring up to man at the end of the game, you just come on the pitch, man. What is so mad about? You know what I'm saying? Show more passion. Show more passion on the pitch. That's what we want to see. Our game, we had a guy.
That's what I mean, though. Like, like Anthony's come on, and if you've come on that fired up, like the manager knows Anthony. He knows what he's like. He shouldn't be putting him onto that. You look at Garnacho came on, all right. He didn't do very much. He offered a bit of an outlet and stuff like that, but he wasn't losing his head. And you see, Bruno absolutely lost it in that game. Like,
Got booked.
yeah, but the thing is, Monday, is that there's a captain's performance of trying to G everyone up, and it's. I think it's all right to go and give a few players a kick, but not intentionally to injure, but to hurt. There's a difference. But Bruno didn't play like a captain. He played like a child in the last 30 minutes. And the thing is, there will be no consequences, will there? There never is. We lost 7-0 away at Liverpool. Nothing changed except Delo lost his place. So what are we going to do now? Wan-Bissaka's back. Are we just going to ship Delo out? Like, and that's it? Like, Rashford, Bruno, like Lindelof, even Eriksen today were all poor and deserve time on the bench. I thought that McTominay, Maguire, Evans, Delo, and Onana were acceptable. Like they look like professional footballers, but the rest of them, there's going to be what's going to happen to them on Monday?
Well, by rights, like you say, you should get a bench for poor performances, and but I just don't see that happening. There's other factors at play, isn't there? Why these team players should be playing. There's pressure on the manager. He would be a brave man to do it, and if he did, I'd say, yeah, big up. You got to try this. Something has to change.
Does Casemiro come back in, or Mane?
Kobe,
yeah,
maybe you got to integrate him some point, But Casemiro, I expect him to come back in, but then we'll be moaning about him in a couple of weeks because the team's not performing well. That's the whole thing. That something's not quite right. You're asking here about Ten Hag. Now, yes. you did put something together at the start of the season, suggesting, and remember we were all sort of overjoyed from the first season, but you sort of put down on things at the start of the season by saying there could be issues, and you're exactly right. The start of the season has been really poor. Now, what made you say that at the start of the season? What did you see happening, and what do you think the future lies for Ten Hag? What lies in the future for him? Because you're saying at the end of the season, people will be calling for his head, but it looks like it's stirring up now.
Yeah, I see a letter and 2 numbers staring in the future for Ten Hag. What's the letter on Monday?
A letter.
I see 1 letter and 2 numbers.
Oh, P.
Yeah.
And a 4 and a 5. Okay.
I see. Yeah. And a thank you note. I think I've always suspected that he would go in a takeover, mainly because if you spend billions on a football club, you want your own men. But now, I just think he's a temp now. He's an intern, like waiting to be replaced. I've had issues with his tactics for a very long time. I don't like his favouritism. I certainly don't like the lack of accountability, and I don't like the way he treats men. I don't like the fact that it's Maguire out, De Gea out, McTominay out, and then like he's relying on 2 of them today to sort of deliver a result. And regardless of what people think, they've been 2 of our better players in the last month or 2. I look at how he sees a football match, and I think it is fundamentally wrong because he doesn't have enough men in the midfield, and he thinks that every pass should be perfect. And I don't see him inspiring the players. Like, I think because you're talking about like how your boys lost 5-0 today, and it's not you, it's the players and stuff. But the thing is, the one man that can make a difference is the manager because he prepares the players and he puts them out. You don't really prepare the players, you don't get all week with them or whatever and stuff like that, but he does. And he's put a team out which did well. It did well in the first half, right? We didn't get the breaks and stuff, but we could have been 2-0 up, we could have been 2-0 down, but we were competitive. Second half, Bruno's gone out, thrown a tantrum. Anthony's very lucky to escape without a red card, to be honest. And like without Onana, I mean, I don't know if Onana played well or not today because I mean he's flapping about, but he's kept the ball out of the net a lot, and a lot of miscommunications with Maguire. But what Ten Hag's got to get them together, and he's got to put a team out of prepared professional footballers who can go and manage a football match and find a way to win. And I don't think he's capable of that. I think his signings are bollocks. I think his man management is bollocks. I think the performance is bollocks. Everything's bollocks on Monday, except for the P45 that he's getting.
All right. I'm going to counter you on this one because I think you're wrong. No. I think you're wrong on this one, BATHTIME. Okay. I look at I was thinking about Carlos Ancelotti, and a lot of people say, well, what's so wonderful about this manager? And he's a people's man. He's a man manager. Mm-hmm. He knows how to get the best out of a group of players. He's that guy. If you've got a group of top pros in your club and you don't know what to do with them, you bring him in and he'd get them all on side and get them playing a brand of football, which is good. He's had to make adaptations. He's got rid of Benzema and he's brought in Bellingham, for example, and they're doing well. They beat Barcelona 2-1 yesterday. Mm-hmm. But obviously, Bellingham's not an out-and-out striker, so he's got some tactical nous because he's had to change a few things, or maybe it's the coaches. But he's done well because he knows how to get big-time players on side. I think the only issue with Ten Hag is he's not proven to get big-time players on side. He's come to Man United. There's been a few disciplinary issues. And I think for him to be successful, it's not going to happen overnight. I've accepted that now. I think it's going to happen when he brings in his young players, he has to be there for about 4 or 5 years. Then he starts bringing these young players in who are playing his brand of football and are on it. Because getting these pros there who are already there to do that, I think he's having a battle and he's not winning this battle. I don't accept that it's always the manager's fault. I think the manager can prepare teams. I did prepare my team. I gave them a video, detailed video, 6 minutes long of this team with text in it, stopping. This is what this guy does.
Is this the one you scouted last week?
Yeah.
Oh no.
So I have done my homework and I have put stuff in the group for them to think. And then before the game, we got it early, pointed out exactly what we need to do, specific jobs and certain things, and they've done the opposite. So I've done my job. People aren't doing theirs, and I think that's the same with Ten Hag. He's come in. He's not experienced at managing big time players with egos who are driving, big nice cars, got loads of money. And I think it's good for him to be successful. We're going to have to be looking realistically. If we can wait that long, another 2-3 years when these younger players who come through the youth academy come through and to play exactly and have that respect of what he's looking for. Because he's on the parent mode and he wants children to play with. At the moment, he's doing parent with adults and it's not working. That's the only issue I have. I like his tactics. I like his discipline. I just think it's not his fault. It's just the way football is at the moment. He's unable to manage these big-headed players. And that means the bottom line.
So for anyone watching, when OMONDI talks about parent mode, it's about the way you speak to people, and that he's in a sort of position of authority. He's an authoritarian, telling them what to do. Whereas someone like Ancelotti trusts the players around him to go and solve problems on the pitch.
Adult.
Yeah, and I am of the opinion that if you treat men like children, you can't expect them to perform like men. Yeah. But in terms of tactics, OMONDI, we've talked about the middle of the midfield for nigh on 2 years now. Do you think that Ten Hag sets teams up well enough, like tactically, in order to win football matches?
Yeah, I think he does. I think he does. I think he does. He's proven this. As I'm saying, this is something at Ajax, he wasn't working with big time players. They respected him. They were young
Yeah.
players coming through, and his system worked because he had players who believed in him, and they were winning as well, obviously. And so you have more desire to say, all right, this works. I trust this guy. But when you're trying to implement new tactics to a new team, and then you get undermined, maybe Ronaldo's left his mark there by saying, he's no good, and even one word, rolling his eyes, and the player sees that when Ten Hag's talking, Ronaldo might roll his eyes, so people might see that and think, all right, this guy's no good because Ronaldo's back and not backing him. And then Sancho might roll his eyes, or Rashford rolled his eyes. It's little things like that which has a detrimental effect on all the players. So even if you do put out good tactics, you might think this ain't working. Look, you might try and do your own thing and be proactive.
Right, let's try this on Monday. Let's try this. Do you think if Ten Hag was at Tottenham, he would be like, maybe not as successful as Ange, but would be in a similar positive, like upwardly mobile position?
I'd say yeah. I'd say more so than what he's getting at Man United.
Right. If Ange was at Man United, do you think we'd be in a better position?
I'd say no, because then I'd be contradicting myself, because I think yeah, I have to. I'd say no here.
Fair enough. What about Pochettino, who's like he's struggling at Chelsea? Do you think that Ten Hag would be doing better at Chelsea or Poch with us?
It's the same. Look, when you talk about big clubs, Chelsea, I wouldn't put Tottenham in that bracket, but Chelsea especially, Man United, and maybe Man City as well. Like the new manager of Man City is going to have a problem when he comes in there.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, for that same reason, what we're saying here.
Like with Ferguson.
Yeah, exactly.
But here's one for you, OMONDI. You're Ten Hag in. I respect that. You're a football man. You manage teams. You played football. You understand all that goes on. What does Ten Hag have to do to lose you?
To lose me? All right.
Yeah, for you to go Ten Hag out.
Right. So we're saying tactically, I've got no issue. I've got his book. I can see how he sets up. He's not trying to lose. He's trying to do right. Yeah. Where it's breaking down tactically, where it's not working, it's because he's got players, big head players, who don't want to do what he's asking. As you've pointed out clearly today, Bruno's doing his own thing, or Mount is not required. So there's the evidence there. So tactically, I've got no issue there. Discipline-wise, I think he has to stick with what he's doing now. He's come to the club. I'm going to prove. I'm the manager. This is how it goes, and I'm going to go with this. And I think that he hasn't been able to manage big-time players. That's been a bit of his downfall at Manchester United Football Club. So for him to be successful, as I said before, he's going to have to wait a couple of years for his own players or the young players to come through, to come and play for him and do his tactics correctly right now.
Not engaging with the question, Amanda.
What was the question then?
What does he have to do to lose you?
So he has to wait. He has to wait.
No, to lose you.
To lose me.
To go Ten Hag out.
Right now, I don't. He's not going to lose me because I'm going to stick with him until the end of the season and assess it then. He's not losing me. That's what I'm saying to you. He's not losing me because I understand.
There's nothing he can do
unless he comes and does something stupid, really stupid, as in where it's sackable offence. You hear like a Sam Allardyce bung thing or whatever, or comes out with some quote. It's just really buries someone. But apart from that, I've seen him discipline. I've seen him deal with Ronaldo, deal with Sancho. I've seen him deal with all kinds of situations and come out there and think. You've got to stick to what you're doing right and have some value and have some respect for yourself. Say, this is my standards. I'm not going to go from it. Remember, he had his laws. He introduced his laws. That's what he's sticking to. And I respect that. I say, right, this man's come with some laws. And with laws, you don't transgress the laws. This is what I'm saying. You shouldn't do that because he's put them out there. This is what I expect. And if you don't do that, I have to be fair to everyone. If you turn up late, bam, hit you with that fine or whatever. Everyone gets it. Not going to be like, all right, I forgive you or whatever. Ferguson forgive Cantona for a Kung Fu kick and moaning at other people in the same game. Do you understand what I'm saying? All right, don't do that again. That's good management for Fergie. But when you draw the line and say, right, this is my rule book. I got to keep my players on side, and this is my rules, and I'm going to stick to it regardless. I have to respect that. I really do respect that. I understand that now. So he can't lose me because he's put his rules out, the players, and he's been consistent in implementing them.
In the dressing room Monday, like out in New Zealand, did the manager make the rules, or did the players?
The manager made the rules.
Oh, okay. Like in most of the changing rooms I've been in, there's obviously general conduct. Like, you got to do this, you got to do that. But it's the most successful teams I played in. It was left up to senior players to manage the dressing room. It wasn't the manager. It was the managers doing other things. We were the ones that made sure that people were on time, and that training standards were good and stuff. Because it was like the squad did it. So
Can
the
I interrupt?
rules.
Would you pull
Yes, of
people
course.
up though? Would the senior players interrupt,
Yes.
pull people up on the
Yeah.
and before the manager even gets to them?
No, and end of the session.
Okay, all right. What about in the
Like,
match
so.
situation? Would they pull people up and be a,
Yes, but they shouldn't have.
okay.
Like, you know what it's like. People will lose it at each other and stuff like that. And I'm a bit of a hothead, but I can control myself till the end of a game before going nuts. And as long as the next training session, everyone's calm, we can talk about what needs to be done and all that kind of stuff. But one of the points I'm trying to make is that I don't like this rule book thing that you like.
Why?
Because I believe that with adults, the rules should be done with all the adults agreeing to them. Like standards of conduct. You don't, because this is parent mode when you come in with the rule book. I want an adult mode where you come in and you all agree that this is what happens if this happens and that this is an acceptable standard. And then you know what kind of players you're dealing with.
Let's look. Moses had a book of rules. He went up to the mountains, and his people just escaped captivity in Egypt, and they were standing there. And when he came back, they were still playing around with the ball and still worshiping some foolishness,
Yes.
still carrying on stupid. So he's coming on and said, "No, enough's enough. You all got to agree to my new covenant, which is my rule book. And the laws are, if you break these rules, there will be curses. You will be overtaken by other nations and destroyed, basically. If you stick
I'm
with
not
the
a
rules,
religious
if you
man,
stick with the rules,
OMONDI,
there will be a lot of positivity coming, and you'll be winning in life. You understand what I'm saying? So the same applies. That's why I agree with rules. We need law and order.
Yeah, but in
Kids
this
need
case,
discipline,
OMONDI,
and footballers need discipline as well. So the rule book thing or the law thing, I think is great.
I'm not
because
disagreeing
you know where you
with
stand.
that.
You as a player, BATHTIME, you know exactly where you stand with that.
Yeah, but I'm not disagreeing with the fact we need discipline. I'm saying how it's handed down, because you're comparing an Old Testament God to Ten Hag, and my understanding of the Bible is that the God changes his personality quite a lot in the New Testament to get away from the Old Testament God, who was more about punishment than love. I don't know if that's right or wrong. It's
I could argue it's not necessarily right. No.
Yeah, okay, but what I'm saying is I don't disagree with discipline and rules and all these things. I think when you come in to a group of multi-millionaires who some of them have got medals, if you pop a rule book down, it's never going to go well for you, because by putting that rule book down, you're objectifying people instead of making them part of a process. So if you get everyone in and you say, this is the standards that we expect, is everything right? What do you guys expect? And all this kind of stuff, you get further. I know it sounds like HR training, but there's a reason it does, because it's one of the strongest statistical findings in occupational psychology, that you have to get people involved in the process. And the thing is, fine, if he comes in with that rule book, absolutely fine, but I don't want to see Bruno on the pitch in the next match. I don't want to see see Anthony or Rashford. So, I think that when I ask you what can Ten Hag do to lose you, surely, if you believe in rules and discipline and the fact that there's causation, action, reaction, what have you got to see in the next match from Ten Hag? Not the players, from Ten Hag.
I see what you're saying there about things, but in the rule book, we had them written down. We have to draw them out for the next show. But it was nothing. The performance side of thing, because you're saying Bruno hasn't played well. That's what we're saying on the show, or the people.
There's no argument on Monday. He didn't act like a child.
Yeah, no. But that's what you're saying. So, are we, for the benefit of the team, are we going to drop Bruno for the next game? Because who else is going to come in? Is there a young player that can perform at least half or three quarters of his level? I'm not sure. Sometimes when that's the case, you have to say, okay,
Mount?
I'm going to have to stick with this guy for whatever. And just you compared to the New Testament and the Old Testament.
Yeah, I know I've made a mistake here. Sorry, don't punish me.
There's a deal. I'm like the Old Testament God. I will punish you now, because in the New Testament, Jesus came along and he was asked. He said, "If you love me, keep my commandments," which was the law from Moses. And he said, I've not come here to change the law, but I've come to fulfill it. You understand what I'm saying? And we want Ten Hag to come now to fulfill law that he introduced. And it's going to take time. So you gave examples of contradictions where Bruno's not playing well, he should be dropped, and maybe I should give up on Ten Hag because he's not dropping certain men who are not performing. You know, that's the only area where I can say, yeah, you've actually got me there. Because
I'm not trying to get you.
Yeah.
I'm genuine. I know you're positive, and I know you believe in Ten Hag. You know your football, you know your tactics, and you know you've seen and played a hell of a lot of football. So it's not like you're a dilettante. But it's for me, I'm thinking, what can I see from Ten Hag to make me turn around on him? And there's got to be changes. And you talk about his philosophy and how he plays and stuff like that. I don't really sort of see it. Like, I know we're winning the ball high up the pitch and all this kind of stuff, but surely there's got to be defensive principles. Like, and one of those has got to be that we're getting done on transitions, right? City out the transition team, they try and open you up in the channel. But we've got two players on the pitch in the second half, and Mount and Bruno. Neither of them are defending the channel. McTominay's got to go out and defend both channels. And then there's massive gaps at the near post. We all get shuffled across. Haaland comes in at the back post. It's not rocket science. And I don't understand how we can have such glaring errors structurally. I'm not talking about the players, just structural errors. Because if I was on that pitch today, I'm fit enough to kind of get in the right position some of the times. And I think that we might have had a better chance at defending if there's two people willing to defend channels, but there's only one, and I need to see so much more tactically from the team before I even get started on the quality of the players. Like Rasmus, I'm pretty happy with Rasmus. I'm still a bit worried about the fact that he can't score the goals that I want him to score yet, but he's young and that's fine. But I look at Rashford and Bruno, and they're being treated like a babysitter's suddenly found out they've got to look after two very young royals, and they're absolutely terrified of doing anything to upset them. Like Rashford needs to get hooked, and like Bruno definitely needs some punishment, and I think it needs to be public in terms of him not playing in the next match because he publicly embarrassed the club the way he carried on. Anthony as well. And I just don't think that Ten Hag will do this. I just think that this disciplinarian stuff is only when it's convenient for him.
I'm going to go for some comments.
Fair enough.
Yeah, Project Leader saying, imagine if you could bring back Ollie back for City games only. Say what you want, but it proves it wasn't Ollie's fault towards the end. He beat Pep and Man City 4 times. That's from Zoe.
Ollie.
Yeah, sacking Ten Hag isn't the solution, especially with him having some of his ex-players at the club. Getting Mitchell and giving him the authority, getting rid of some people and investing is the key. That's from Bart. I would be begging Ollie to come back. The state of Ten Hag has our team in at the moment. It's bad. Hell, give us Moyes. That's from Big T as well. Is this too emotional reaction at the moment? Just we lost.
Of course, it's an emotional reaction. Like tomorrow, we'll all be much more.
Yeah,
we'll be much more mellow. Don't worry.
Project Leaders saying here, players simply are not good enough. Bruno, Rashford, McTominay, he's okay versus Sheffield United, but bigger teams, he's actually awful. I want to say hi. I'm just going to struggle to pronounce your name, but Ed Berg, as in Stefan. Bruno, Dalot, Rashford, Evans, Maguire, trash. There you go. Black Bolt saying here, Ten Hag hasn't got it. Big T saying, what's the point in pressing if players pass around it? What's the point in turning over the ball in the final third if you do nothing with it? I don't like Ten Hag football. I don't want it. Big T again is saying here, you can't blame the players, but the manager keeps picking them and requesting them. Project Leader saying here, certain players are just not good enough, like Bruno, who's been awful for ages, been saying it for a while. You have, most certainly. He is okay with less opposition, but against City and Arsenal, he's shite. How was he so successful at Ajax, says Jeff. He built his team. We will have to have time to do that here.
Will he have the time to do that?
Will he have the time? Well, that's the question he should be asking. But yeah, he was successful because he had the time, and that's another thing he needs right now. Poch would have been fired already, says Jeff. Ang is still in his honeymoon period. As soon Spurs will lose and they will capitulate.
Capitulate.
Yes. Thank you, Zoe, for these wonderful long words. I'm tired of coulda, woulda, shoulda. When will this nightmare end? I used to fear Freddie, Jason, and Pennywise. Now I go to bed checking for Ten Hag under my bed. That's from Big T. I would look at Steve McLaren as coaches if I was Eric Ten Hag. McLaren is ancient and old. We need fresh bloods in coaching. Staff like Ryan Giggs, maybe.
Oh, I have to say, I know everyone fetishizes youth, but I do think you always need old school football men around the club.
And Teddy's saying here, so you went nuts today, BT. Question is, what are the A targets and spend another few hundred million? I'd rather sack first team players and play youth. Okay, probably get relegated, but at least the club can take a step back and then rebuild. That's from Project Leader.
I'm glad she's not my project leader.
Jeff saying here, ready for Bruno to take a break and never play on the right again. Casemiro and Mainu and Mount in the number 10. Well done, Jeff. And he's saying here, love him Monday preaching. I'm sure you go to church today, Jeff. I'm sure you were. And like it says in the Bible as well, iron sharpens iron. And that's what we do in this show. Thankfully, I've got a great man here with Bath Time. Iron sharpens iron. I've sort of learned a few things today about management. And it is tough. It is very tough. Project Leader again is saying, let's all get relegated. The Man United stock will be worthless. Qatar can then come and pay about $2 billion in purchase. All right, we see where that's going. But you know what they're saying here, guys. Big up to Football United TV. Big up to Teddy as well. It's been a wonderful debate about this Ten Hag at risk. And
I'd just like to say, I'm not on the bottle, Teddy. I have I have a glass here that I'm angry and I'm anxious, which is probably why I'm talking over people. And I keep tapping it with my phone when I want to make a point, sort of like a really useless judge with his gavel.
Or like Warriors, like we're coming to yeah, that's the one.
Warriors.
Yeah.
Just before we get to some other stuff, I know that there's as a big boxing man among there, I know a few people have got some questions for you on the boxing. Fury and Ngannou. Was it a robbery?
No, it's not a robbery. Robbery, you know what a robbery is. Let me think of a robbery. I'll think of a robbery in a sec, but that was close. It was a close fight because obviously the knockdown. I didn't score it specifically, but I felt that Tyson Fury did come back in the fight, and I also think it was an exhibition. It was like a show, it's entertainment as well, and I think it's only fair that the boxer wins. You can't. If he would have been beaten outside, then you'd say, yeah. I think we've got to level it up. We say, oh my God, the expectations of a boxer suddenly getting dropped, the heavyweight champion getting dropped. It's like Muhammad Ali when he got dropped by the guy they made Rocky film about, some bum. You know, he's actually stepping his toes. Like, oh my God. So when Ngannou is coming, doing pretty well, better than we fit, everything does. He's an amazing athlete, by the way, strong as hell. But when anything he's doing that's effective, we think, oh my God, look at this. When really the better boxer was Tyson Fury. So for me, it's a boxing match. And you're scoring this boxing match. I think Tyson Fury won the boxing match, but I think if it's a fight, Ngannou definitely won the fight because his power. He was effective. He dropped the guy as well. So I do believe that it wasn't a robbery, but it was a very close fight. And let's just move on from this because, when we start screaming robbery and all this kind of thing, that Tyson Fury's finished and all this, it's not to him. What we're seeing here is a great athlete in Ngannou who actually went 10 rounds, in a combat sport, which he's used to. He's a great striker in UFC, and he was trained to do the right thing against Tyson Fury. He countered him really well, and he put a lot of fear into him, and he's got that psychological thing as well, which prevented him from Tyson Fury from really going in for him. So it was a good exhibition. But apart from that, let's move on from that. What do you think? Do you think it's a robbery?
No. I thought Tyson won on points.
Yeah.
And I felt he played for it. But and shout out to King Dino if he's watching, who was a proper boxer. And he said that it was I think he felt it was more of a draw, but that it could understand why Tyson did it. Of course, Usyk would have fury at the moment. But back to the football. City legend Lukaku. United have no fighting spirit. Is that? Do you think that's true, Amonde? We showed the wrong kind of fight with Anthony and Bruno. Did you at any point after going 1-0 down? Did you look around the pitch and see someone who was going to drag us back into that game?
No, I didn't. To be honest, I think what it is, your morale as a whole team. Like I say, that penalty took it out of us. If we were in the game, like the first 25 minutes, when we're in the game, you can see right there we've got something to chase for, something to work for here. It's worth hunting people down. It's worth making an extra effort. After that, once City got the ball, it's like, oh my god, here we go again. I've got to do all this donkey work for nothing. Then I'm gonna get upset with my teammates. Then I'm, how do I get my foot on the ball? How do I get control of this game? It's really difficult. So to say United have no fighting spirit, I think we did up until a point. But when you play a team over and over again, you realise they're going to destroy you. And once they're 1-2-0 up, it's going to be very difficult to get back in the game. Then, it's despair and you get a bit flat. Even if you're at home and you've got the crowd on your back and wanting you to do well, it's disheartening, I think. So I just think they took our spirit away. They took our soul away from us. And I'm not blaming, and it doesn't mean we haven't got fighting spirit because we showed at the start of the game we're on it, and then you can blame.
How often do we see that?
But I think my point is, I think the players can turn and say, right, it's the penalty. Let's injustice. Let's use that to say why.
As an excuse.
Yeah, as an excuse in a way. So
who's got to stop that? Is that your captain or is that your manager?
I just think it's an issue with the players that we have at the club,
and who's got to sort that out?
The manager, but it's going to take time. It doesn't happen overnight. It's going to take time. Fergie created that with with time and bringing youths in and bringing that sort of desire in. He created that,
But do we have the time? I understand what you're saying is that. But I think what you're saying is that Ten Hag has been coming to essentially rebuild the club. And that's going to start with the youth, the academy, the culture, and the values. And he's got a bad bunch at the moment, and it's not an awful lot that he can really do with players that won't listen and won't do all this kind of stuff. I personally don't think he's been brought in to do any of this. I think he's brought in as a coach to coach us to results and trophies. And we got a trophy last season. Delighted, absolutely delighted. But we completely tailed off after it. And for me, I think that when we talk about fighting spirit and how players are using excuses like a penalty and stuff like that, I think that this is what a manager is paid for. And I think if you look around the Premier League at other managers, I think that they would be able to get results quicker in terms of sort of turning the players around and getting them on board. I think that I just don't think he's the man, Amonde, and I really worry about giving him the 5 to 7 years that you're advocating for.
Yeah, Jay, good comment here on that point. The mentality is terrible. I knew we lost the game when Amrabat got booked. You don't get booked for winding. What's he say?
For whinging.
Whinging. Okay, so I'm saying whinging. You get booked for snapping someone off to get your team back in position. So there you go. So as a fan, he thought after that he got booked for that was it. We're done out here because he's seen it time and time again from Man United, and I thought the penalty as well took it out of us. Big up to Matty, Football United TV. Go and subscribe to them. He said Bruno on the right should not happen. We need him in his best position. Why did we try Diallo, give him some game time? I don't know if he's back, but yeah, that's a good one. Onana saved us United from humiliation. Big up to City legend Lukaku. XD as well.
I kind of agree with City legend. I felt that I don't know. Onana definitely had a shocker in terms of technique and all that sort of stuff. I've never seen a goalkeeping performance like that, but he was fantastic. My only 3 complaints is that there were a couple of mix-ups with Maguire in the first half, which is maybe they just haven't played with each other enough. I felt he should have actually saved Haaland second, but I'm not going to hold it against him. I think that beats most keepers. But the other one is I didn't like him going long so much. I the only sort of tactical change I liked in the second half is Anana stepped up into a back three, and I felt that with Ericsson and McTominay static, that allowed us more space out on the wings. But we never used it properly, and I'm just really disappointed about everything, and I'm disappointed because you have to leave, don't you, on Monday now?
Yeah, I certainly do. And look, we'll be back. We're back every day of the week. You know, I really do appreciate everyone who's taking the time to make some comments here. We are feeling blue. It's been a sad day for the club as well. But I'm saying we stick with the manager for another couple of years and just see where that takes us. Bath time seeing the cracks already, and he's saying he wants him out. And he jumped. The thing is, he's always saying get Wenger out, or or being a Ten Hag out guy. We're not going to go down that road, but at least Bath time is able to explain the reason why. And I have to admit that he makes some good points there. But I think long term we need to sort of stick with a manager, because otherwise we're just starting all over again and reset button, and there's no guarantee of success. But yeah, really good. I really enjoyed that chat with you, Bath time, about this Ten Hag at risk thing, and maybe this is something that's going to be carried on for the next few weeks, because we get knocked out of League Cup against Newcastle this week. If we get knocked out against Copenhagen, or we have a bad result there,
that's the season over till January.
Yeah, and then that question, we might be coming back to this discussion. So I'm going to go and do some homework. So I'm ready for you next time.
Yeah,
and you go and read your Bible. Go and dust off your Bible and go and read it.
I'm sorry, I'm not very good with. You do need to have a very good understanding of the Bible to appreciate English literature, though. So not the worst idea in the world. But thank you to everyone who's been watching. We understand there's been huge lagging issues and things tonight, and I think that coming up on the agenda this week, we might have a very special guest tomorrow. I'm not sure what's happening with that. We do have a very special guest on Friday. And I'm fairly sure that Ten Hag out will be quite a big thing this week in the comments. So we'll both come prepared and ready for you. And commiserations, everyone, on the result. This is what being a United fan is now. Keeping the faith, hanging in, and trying to find positives.
Most certainly. Big up Bath time. I hope enjoy the rest of the evening, and everyone else as well. We'll see you tomorrow evening for a special show. For now, we're out. Good night and God bless.